the good thing about the internet is that anybody can have an opinion, but the bad thing about the internet is anybody can have an opinion. And so many people have been following this Andrew Tate guy. I don't know if he has done what people claim he's done, but I do know that I don't particularly like him from all of the clips that I've seen of him. I just don't really think that I would mesh well with him as a person. And some people had some problems with that, so I decided to continue to talk to them instead of leaving the channel, because they were very much on the opinion that I should like Andrew Tate, or I shouldn't dislike him. But during these conversations, I came across the idea of talking about echo chambers. And echo chambers, I feel like, are something that a lot of people don't really discuss enough. They're very dangerous. I mean, you've seen this with people like Elliot Rodgers. You've seen this with people like, was it Trent or Brent? I've forgotten his name. Gosh. He was the guy who shut up the mosque in New Zealand because he was not happy with how people immigrate from one country to another and bring their culture over and completely disregard the culture of the people who live there already. And like, these echo chambers can be a lot of toxic, well, they can be good points initially, and then people will start bouncing ideas off them and they become toxic. They start snowballing, they start escalating. And so I thought that it was really important to bring this up in this conversation, especially when I saw somebody so young basically claiming that they are a fan and that they're thinking certain things that I don't think is appropriate for somebody.
Been playing freaking games.
So, I mean, the whole Elliot Rodgers thing was really sad though, and that's like where I sort of get worried with these echo chambers. I mean, you've even got Brent who shot up the mosque in New Zealand and all that. That was from an echo chamber too. Like, the dangerous thing about these groups is, like, nobody has proper critical thinking. They don't really have anything to do with, like, they don't really have their own thoughts. They're all bouncing.
What do you mean by echo chambers?
Oh.
And do you know what the term echo chamber is? Like, you're quite young, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, not really. Can you explain to me?
So, it's sort of like when you have a group of people who are bouncing the same ideas off each other. Like, have you heard the theory you become the same person as the 7 people most close to you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of the same thing where, like, all of your ideologies blend into one, and, like, say... So what happened with, was it Brent or Trent? I can't even remember. But the guy with the mosque, he was on a website where they were all hating on, like, Muslims and immigration and all that. And then, like, people were like, oh, we should go, like, you know, end them. And when, like, he actually went and did it. And it's like, that kind of rhetoric online is quite dangerous, because when you're doing that, it just creates this animosity, because you wouldn't usually have these thoughts, but because people around you are having these thoughts, you start thinking about it. And that's really what an echo chamber is, if that makes sense.
Well, if that's the case...
people who use, like, their fame and money to create toxic...
It's not always fame and money. Yeah.
Well,
she just stated it was people who know what I'm doing.
See, like, I feel like that a lot of people get reeled into echo chambers, and I feel like that they can be quite dangerous. And I think that the fact that there are people so young that are getting reeled in because they've got access to the internet all the time, and they're hearing this stuff all the time. It's quite bad because, like, I mean, we've had multiple shooters who have been part of these communities, and like, this is where I have a huge problem with things like Andrew Tate, where they get people to pay them as like a multi-level marketing thing to get into some Discord, right? And then these people in the Discord are basically just spewing the same information and spewing the same like ideas and all that. And it's just really, really, really toxic. Like, I know that if I kept being told over and over again something, that might subconsciously influence what I'm thinking. And I wouldn't do it intentionally, but like, I could start to be like, I've heard that before, that sounds familiar, and this stuff will keep coming up. It's ridiculous that so many people are getting roped into these things, but that's how they work. And that's how they sort of escalate opinions and escalate sort of issues, and it just becomes really, really toxic. So I thought that I would make a quick little video about echo chambers, and like, yeah, I guess that's all I'm trying to say. I think I've said enough on it. I don't like them. I think that they're toxic, and I think that people should have more critical thinking. It's okay to learn about things, it's okay to have interests, but you don't necessarily need to think the same as everybody else. You can have your own thoughts, you can have your own opinions, you can be your own person, and just because you're doing yourself, just because you're being yourself, you're being a lone wolf essentially, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that. You can be your own person, don't care about other people's opinions, do good, be kind, don't be a tosser, and live and let live. And you don't need to hate on people for how they live, and you don't need to be disrespectful. It's so easy to be kind, and there's no point to any nastiness, there's no point to any targeting, there's no point to trying to change who people are, because people should be themselves, they should be happy, and they should not partake in toxic echo chambers.